you're lying. Every time you play it cool with someone you're falling for, every time you hide how much you care, every time you pretend you're fine being alone, you're lying. And the worst part? You know it. We're all walking around pretending we don't desperately need each other, pretending we're not terrified of being seen, pretending we're not aching for someone to look at us and say, I see you and you're enough. But here's what nobody talks about. That mask you're wearing to attract love, it's the very thing preventing you from ever feeling truly loved. Because if they fall for the mask, they never fall for you. And you'll spend your whole relationship wondering if they'd still be there if they knew the real you. If you've ever hidden who you really are to be loved, type mask in the comments right now. Let me tell you what happens every single time we meet someone we're drawn to. A touch, a look, tender and fleeting. And immediately, something inside us panics. We are scared little creatures, aching for eternal belonging. That unspoken agreement that we are in this together. And yet, what do? We avert our eyes. We lower our tone. We play it cool. I'll hold on to this real me, we tell ourselves. This messy apparition of vulnerability and tears, I'll keep it hidden until I find the one. Someone who's worth it. But here's the trap. Implicitly, we understand that even this one will not accept the real us unconditionally. We know we'll need to persuade them. With something that is not quite us, some general attractive qualities, good looks, pleasant conversation, a worthy mask. Is this deception? To reveal ourselves later, after we've tricked them into letting us in? All for the selfish desire to be loved, to be at one with another human being? In The Presentation of Self in Everyday Life, sociologist Erving Goffman argued that we are all performers. We manage impressions, control what others see, carefully curate the version of ourselves we present to the world. He called it impression management. But here's what he also discovered. The more we perform, the more exhausted we become. Because maintaining a false self requires constant vigilance. You can never relax. You're always on stage. And the tragic irony? The person who falls in love with your performance can never truly reach you. Think about the movie Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Joel and Clementine fall for each other's quirks, their authentic messiness. But over time, they start hiding, performing, trying to be what they think the other wants, and it destroys them. The relationship doesn't end because they're incompatible. It ends because they stopped being real with each other. That's the first painful truth about love. The mask that attracts them is the wall that separates you. So what do we actually wish for when we wish to be loved? Is it pure narcissism? The childish fantasy of endless affirmation? That some poor being will afford you constant reassurance that you're permitted to be here, that your presence is tolerated, if not appreciated, that every anxiety you have about your worth will be soothed by their worship. This isn't sustainable. And deep down, you know it. Resentment develops. Because love based on self-admiration is like tickling yourself. You miss out on the pleasant surprises, the intolerable unpredictability of the other, of a whole separate soul afforded to love you how they see fit, not how you demand. Let me explain what I mean. If I admire my own looks, I will wish to be admired for my looks. But what if they find something else, something unaccounted for, something also worth loving? What if they cherish the bedhead I've always been ashamed of? What if they've fallen for my strange thoughts, the ones I edit out of conversations because they seem too weird? Perhaps I wish to be loved for the things I don't even consider lovable. And so that sort of love that demands I be admired the way I wish to be, that just isn't enough. In The Art of Loving, philosopher Erich Fromm argues that most people mistake love for being loved. They focus on being lovable, attractive, successful, pleasant, rather than on their capacity to love another. This creates what he calls pseudo-love. You're not seeking connection, you're seeking validation. And validation is a bottomless pit. No amount will ever be enough. Think about social media for a second. You post a photo, you wait for likes. Each one gives you a tiny hit of dopamine, a brief reassurance that you matter. But within hours, you need more. The validation wears off. That's what happens when you seek to be loved for narcissistic affirmation. It's never enough because it's not actually love. It's just mirrors reflecting what you want to see. If this is making you uncomfortable, good. Subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. Maybe that's not what you want. Maybe you want something deeper. Maybe you wish for devotion, to give the other all of you. How simple it would be to answer any ambiguity in life. What am I to do? What am I to think of? With a simple answer, my beloved, I will think of you. I will spend time with you. You are my purpose. This sounds romantic, doesn't it? Like the kind of love songs are made of. But this too will bring resentment. To prop up another human as a god, as the arbiter of your life choices, is to sign up for disappointment. This is not love. It's a clever way of avoiding the responsibility that comes with freedom. To give it to the other completely, and surely there are plenty willing to take it, to absorb your energy and agency and make you a tool of their esteem and praise, and you'll give it relentlessly. Until you find that they too are human. You do not love them, you worship them. And nobody can live up to worship. Nobody deserves your freedom more than you do. Psychologist Carl Jung wrote extensively about projection in relationships. We project onto our partners qualities we've disowned in ourselves. We make them carry our unlived potential, our dreams, our sense of meaning. This creates what he called the anima or animus projection, where we fall in love not with the actual person, but with our idealized fantasy of what they represent. Think about 500 Days of Summer. Tom doesn't love summer. He loves his fantasy of summer. He projects onto her all his romantic ideals, ignoring who she actually is. She tells him repeatedly she doesn't want a relationship, but he doesn't listen. Because he's not in love with her. He's in love with the idea of her. And when reality doesn't match the fantasy, he's devastated. Not because he lost summer, but because he lost the illusion he was living in. That's the second trap of love. Devotion without boundaries isn't love. It's self-abandonment dressed up as romance. So if it's not narcissistic affirmation, and it's not devotional worship, what is this desire to be loved? Is it the desire to feel complete? We've all heard it. You complete me. Jerry Maguire made it iconic. The idea that we're walking around half empty and romantic love is what fills us up. But here's the problem with that. If you're incomplete alone, you'll be incomplete together. Because two halves don't make a whole. They make two halves desperately clinging to each other, terrified of separation. Philosopher Alain de Botton, in his book, The Course of Love, dismantles this completeness myth beautifully. He argues that we've been sold a lie by romantic culture, that love is about finding the one who makes us whole. But real love, he says, is about two complete people choosing to build something together. Not because they need each other to survive, but because life is better shared. There's a difference. Needing someone to complete you creates dependency. Choosing someone to share life with creates partnership. Is completeness achievable in solitude? Perhaps. But the nights grow cold, and I tire of these inner dialogues. Life is hard enough on my own, and I wish to make coffee for us. I wish for an us. All I know, beyond reason, is that it is often better with others than alone. But not because they complete me, because existence itself is more bearable, more beautiful, more rich when witnessed by someone who cares. Think about Before Sunrise. Jesse and Celine spend one night together in Vienna. They don't complete each other. They're both whole, complex people with their own lives. But for those hours, they share themselves completely. No masks, no performance, just two humans connecting authentically. And that connection doesn't complete them. It enriches them. That's what we're actually seeking. Not completion, enrichment. What's the difference between needing someone and choosing someone? Drop your thoughts below. So let me be clear about what I've discovered. I do not wish to live for someone, to live below them, as it were. Nor do I wish to live above them in constant affirmation. Each leaves me incomplete. Both forms of love guarantee resentment, bitterness, and stagnation. One makes me a servant, the other makes me a tyrant. Neither makes me human. So what do I live for? Simply, I live. And I know that it is better to live with another, side by side. Not one above the other, not one propping up the other, but two people walking parallel paths that occasionally intertwine. This is what philosopher Martin Buber called the I-thou relationship, as opposed to I-it. In an I-it relationship, you treat the other person as an object, a means to an end, something to fulfill your needs, complete you, validate you. In an I-thou relationship, you recognize the other as a complete, autonomous being. You meet them fully, without agenda, without trying to possess or control them. This is where real love lives, not in fusion, but in recognition. Two separate souls, acknowledging each other's full humanity. It is not always easy. We will misunderstand each other. We will bicker. We will overstep and miscalculate our proximities. The inherent clumsiness of being guarantees conflict. But are these not the very points where love is most felt? Is this not what we fight for, what we ache for? Those awkward attempts at connection when our masks slip off and we stare into each other's eyes, two shaking bundles of desire draped in our beautiful flaws, whispering to each other, "It's okay, I'm still here." That is love. If you're still watching and this is hitting you in the chest, it takes 2 seconds to subscribe. Do it so you never miss content like this. Here's something that will either free you or terrify you. There is no one. Not in the way we've been taught to believe. The idea of a soulmate, that one perfect person designed specifically for you, is a modern invention, and it's causing incredible suffering because it creates impossible standards. It makes us believe that if we're struggling in a relationship, it must mean we're with the wrong person, that the right person would be effortless. But here's the truth. Compatibility is built, not found. In The All or Nothing Marriage, psychologist Eli Finkel explains how marriage expectations have changed dramatically over the past century. We used to marry for survival, then for companionship, now for self-actualization. We expect our partners to be our best friend, our passionate lover, our emotional support, our intellectual equal, our adventure companion, our co-parent, and our path to personal growth. That's an impossible burden for any one human to carry. The soulmate myth tells us that the right person will fulfill all these needs effortlessly. But relationships don't work that way. They require work, compromise, communication, and the constant choice to stay present even when it's hard. You could have incredible compatibility with multiple people. The question isn't, are they the one? The question is, are we willing to build something together? Think about it. Your grandparents probably didn't agonize over whether they'd found their soulmate. They found someone they respected, liked, and were attracted to. Then they built a life together. The relationship didn't complete them. They completed the relationship through decades of showing up. We've romanticized the finding and forgotten about the building. So how do we actually do this? How do we love without the masks, without the narcissism, without the worship? It requires something most people aren't willing to give: vulnerability. Brené Brown has spent decades researching vulnerability, and her findings are clear. Vulnerability is not weakness. It's the birthplace of love, belonging, joy, courage, empathy, and creativity. But our culture teaches the opposite. We're told to armor up, to never let them see you sweat, to always have it together. So we go into relationships with our walls up. We perform strength when we're scared. We hide our needs because needing feels like weakness. We pretend we don't care as much as we do. And then we wonder why we feel lonely even when we're with someone. Because they're not with you. They're with the performance you've created. Real intimacy requires risk. The risk of being seen completely and potentially being rejected. That's terrifying. But it's also the only way to feel truly loved. Because if you're hiding and they say they love you, you'll always wonder, would they still love me if they knew? The only way to silence that question is to let them know. Show them the parts you're ashamed of, the fears you hide, the needs you're embarrassed to have, the ways you're messy and complicated and imperfect. And if they stay, if they look at all of that and say, I'm still here, that's when you can finally breathe. In Attached, psychologists Amir Levine and Rachel Heller explain attachment theory in relationships. They found that people with secure attachment styles do something radical. They communicate their needs directly. They don't play games. They don't test their partners. They don't hide vulnerability to appear strong. They say, I need this. I feel that. Can we talk about it? And counterintuitively, this vulnerability creates stronger bonds because it invites authentic connection instead of strategic performance. Here's what I've learned about love after years of getting it wrong. It's not about finding someone who makes you whole. It's not about being adored for your best qualities. It's not about worship or devotion or completing each other. It's about showing up day after day in your full, messy humanity and choosing to see and be seen. Some days that looks like passion. Other days it looks like patience. Sometimes it's laughter and adventure. Other times it's sitting in silence while you both deal with your own struggles. Love isn't a feeling that happens to you. It's a practice you commit to. The philosopher Bell Hooks wrote in All About Love that love is a verb, not a noun. It's not something you fall into and then coast on. It's something you actively do. You practice honesty even when it's uncomfortable. You practice forgiveness even when you're hurt. You practice seeing your partner's humanity even when they disappoint you. This doesn't mean accepting mistreatment. It means choosing compassion over contempt, curiosity over judgment, connection over control. And here's the beautiful part. When you approach love as a practice rather than a possession, the pressure lifts. You're no longer constantly evaluating whether this person is the one. You're simply asking, am I showing up fully today? Are they? Some days the answer is yes, some days it's no. And that's okay, because you're both human and humans are inconsistent. The question isn't perfection, it's direction. Are you both generally moving toward more honesty, more vulnerability, more authentic connection? If yes, keep going. If no, reassess. What's one way you're going to show up more authentically in your relationships? Share it below. Your honesty might inspire someone else. So let me tell you what I think we're really looking for when we say we want to be loved. We want to be known. Not admired from a distance. Not worshipped on a pedestal. Not completed or fixed or saved. Just known. We want someone to look past the performance, past the masks, past the carefully curated version we present to the world, and see us, all of us, the beauty and the ugliness, the strength and the fear, the joy and the pain. And then, after seeing all of that, to choose to stay. Not because they need us, not because we complete them, but because life, in all its difficult beauty, is better shared. This kind of love doesn't erase your loneliness. It sits with you in it. It doesn't fix your brokenness. It acknowledges it without judgment. It doesn't make you whole. It meets you as you are and says, this messy, complicated, evolving human, this is who I choose. And maybe that's all we've ever wanted. Not to be completed, but to be chosen. Not to be saved, but to be seen. Not to be perfect, but to be present. So stop playing it cool. Stop hiding behind masks. Stop waiting to be worthy enough to be loved. You're worthy now. Messy, imperfect, still figuring it out you. And the right people, the ones worth keeping, won't love you despite your flaws. They'll love you, flaws included, because those flaws are part of the whole human they've chosen to know. Love is not about being impressive. It's about being real. And being real is the most courageous thing you can do. If this changed how you think about love, hit that like button. And subscribing takes 2 seconds. Do it so this message can reach someone who needs to hear it today. See you in the next one. Stay vulnerable.